Hi, everyone. I'm here with another sort of entry into this sort of Patreon adventure I'm doing. Just to recap that, this is like I put together an Arban routine sort of targeted at people who are trying to balance a lot of skills or comeback players or really anybody that might find that useful. So I'm going to be recording some of those things. Today, thought we'd talk about Arban number 11 at the beginning of the book. This is a staple of that routine. I do it maybe not every day, but most days. And the exercise itself is not really the point. It's like what it does for our playing, right? It's a conceptual thing. So I thought I'd play through it, sort of talk about a couple of ways that I like to play through it, that I like to apply, this concept of flow and ease to this relatively simple study. We'll do number 11, and I think it's number 15, which is the same tune transposed up a whole step. You can do any of those. It's like 11 through like uh, 17 or something like that. They're all kind of the same idea: quarter notes, half notes, a chance to move easily across the trumpet. I encourage you to check all of those out. And again, if you're looking for a sort of like idiot proof like way to put those into your practice in that Arban 4 week flow resource that I put out, I was like 4 or 5 months ago now. Might be for you, so please check that out. So this is number 11. First thing I like to do is do it slurred, or maybe not even all of it, or maybe alternate between slurred and tongued. I don't do whatever written articulation. It's got like marcatos or something. I don't know what those mean in this context. Also on C trumpet, I like to use C trumpet. I really don't like playing B flat a whole lot. I don't hate it or anything. It's not like the worst instrument. I'm not like a C trumpet only kind of person. I'm just playing my C trumpet today because it's what I have out, and I prefer it. So, yeah, here's Arban number 11. I'm going to play it on C, in C. Um, Same concepts all apply. First thing I like to do is slur it. So it sounds like this. So that's the idea. With the breathing specifically, if you are not a professional, my suggestion is to breathe as naturally and normally as possible and don't worry about how long it takes. You can turn the metronome on, and you probably should, and I probably should. I keep saying that. I'm gonna do it, I promise. But for a non-professional, usually that breath is like a hitching point. And even for me, like I am a professional musician, I do this for a living. The breath is still a hitching point. So, um, my suggestion is leave time out of it when you're breathing. Let the breath just happen as normally and naturally as possible, and don't try and sort of confine it to the smallest space that you can, unless you want to work on that. But for like general purposes, don't worry about that. So now I'm going to add the articulation. Maybe not my best sound ever. I didn't warm up yet. That was like my warm up for the day. So I'm not going to worry about like a little bit of grit in the sound quite yet. If I go back and do it again, I can figure out maybe like what that is. I think I know, but yeah, yeah. You can also transpose this. Like I said, I think it's number 15, transposed up a whole step. Um, yeah, sounds a little bit like this. Yeah, good. So again, not perfect. I'm not going to go back and redo it. Um, like I'm getting some fluctuations in sound color that I would prefer not to have, but again, warming up, just not quite on my radar yet. But it should be on yours. You should go back, sort of hash out a little bit of this. I can actually go do that. So I'm going to use number 15, kind of at the end where there's a little bit more leaping going on. So again, I'm getting a little bit of a funny sound, a little bit of grit in the sound, and the color on some of the notes is not super consistent. So what I'm going to do is loosen up my face a little bit. Usually that's where the grit is, a little bit too tense. I'm going to sit up because I'm slouching because that's an issue I have. And then I'm also going to, for the sound color, smooth out these intervals. So think about them as not being up and down, but across. And this is not like a big shift. I talk about this a lot with my students, but like if you lift weights, right, and you're squatting, like the difference between a good squat and a bad squat is about that much because um, that's where your center of gravity is. Like it's right there. So your technique on the trumpet is a fairly sensitive balance, and we can restore balance with just a very minor adjustment sometimes. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm just going to play like a little bit at the end. I did that tongue that time. I didn't really mean to, but yeah, I don't know if I was successful there. I'm getting a little bit of splashback from my screen here, so maybe it's nothing, but definitely a little bit more even if there's just still a little bit of grit in the sound. So that is the way I tackle these first Arban pages. Super straightforward. You don't have to spend lots of time. When I teach people to do these, I teach them in two or four measure bits, sometimes even one measure at a time, and try to sort of like, again, I don't tell them this, but I keep a timer in my head. Like I keep my eye on the clock, and we don't really do more than 10 minutes, out of a lesson. And so I encourage you to do the same thing. Set your timer, do 5 or 10 minutes, and then move on because, like, we have more things to do. We have a lot to do, a lot of things to cover in our practice session. And so it's best to practice for 5 or 10 minutes on one thing, really focus in on one thing, and then move on, and then move on to something else and do the same thing there. And then do this again tomorrow and again the day after, and really capitalize on those day over day, compounding improvements. So there it is. It's Arban. I think it's page 13, number 11, number 15, but all of those are pretty good. I tackle them all the same way, exactly the same. Some of them go a little bit higher. You can challenge yourself to that. Um, but yeah, let me know what you end up with. And again, it's all in the book if you want. Um, and yeah, like I said, let me know what you come up with. I can't wait to hear how you improve, or if you do, or what suggestions you might have. But yeah, great. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time.